of the CBC Evening News. In our top story tonight, Barbados will continue to monitor the outbreak of the deadly Ebola virus, but the likelihood of the disease is low. This assurance from health officials as they seek to allay any public concerns. The disease detected in West Africa has killed over 900 people so far. Minister of Health John Boy says surveillance will be stepped up at all ports of entry, and he's made it clear the island is under no immediate threat.
There are no cases of Ebola in Barbados. The Ministry of Health will continue to monitor the outbreak in West Africa through the World Health Organization's event information site, as well as to step up surveillance at ports of entry. Environmental health officers and port health nurses will be conducting surveillance to identify any persons with symptoms so that the necessary precautions can be taken at an early stage to contain any spread of this disease.
Acting Chief Medical Officer Dr. Elizabeth Ferdinand said there will be full collaboration between the necessary entities should Ebola reach Barbados.
The Ministry of Health, as well as the nation, all other agencies will have to be involved if Ebola comes to Barbados, so that the disaster emergency management system will kick in, being led probably most likely by health, because this is a health emergency. Now, before all of these things kick in, there has to be planning done. Normally we have plans depending on what phase we are in. We are now in the planning phase.
We're also hearing that the risk of Ebola in the Caribbean is low. This is according to the Trinidad-based Caribbean Public Health Agency. Dr. James Hospitalis, CARPHA's executive director, says so far no confirmed cases of the Ebola virus have been reported. However, he is cautioning citizens to prepare for the virus. Dr. Hospitalis added that the virus can be spread by people and animals. Ebola spreads through mucus and other body fluids or secretions such as urine, saliva, and semen in affected people. 7 confirmed cases of chikungunya have been detected in Barbados so far, and Senior Medical Officer Dr. Karen Springer says 6 were imported. She says there are some 50 suspected cases. No deaths were reported from the disease. Barbados is also reporting success in its fight against dengue fever. This is credited to increased surveillance and fogging.
So far this year we've had just over 100 cases of dengue fever, compared to over 700 cases for the entire period last year. So last year we would have had, for the entire year, we would have had over 1,100 cases of dengue fever. So far this year we've had just over 100 confirmed cases of dengue fever.
Construction of Barbados' first multi-million-dollar standalone hospice and palliative care should begin by next year. Chairman of the Barbados Cancer Association USA, Dr. O'Neill Paris, made the disclosure during the 3rd Barbados Network consultation at the Lloyd Ernst Center. Dr. Paris says a location has not yet been identified for the 20-bed facility, but he's optimistic it will raise the standard of end-of-life care in Barbados.
A project such as this has to be carefully thought out and needs to be engaged all stakeholders, government, NGOs, the private sector, the average Barbadian. It can be those from the side, try to do so with deem it to fear, and quite frankly, they won't stand for it. So back it comes to the spirit of cooperation, and has been talking with the Ministries of Health, Foreign Affairs, and other hosts the past couple of years. The current status of this initiative is that the legal aspects have essentially been ironed out.
Health Minister John Boy says the $4 million facility will also help in the fight against non-communicable diseases.
It is expected that by 2030, 83% of deaths in Barbados will result from chronic non-communicable disease. Then, the particular profile necessitates significant palliative care interventions. In addition, the chronic degenerative diseases and connective tissue disorders, including HIV/AIDS, will contribute to the burden of managing palliative care.
Canada is reportedly putting the brakes on some categories of Barbadian workers seeking employment there. It's a situation that has government and the diaspora lobbying Canadian authorities to review the situation relating to its foreign labour program. Labour Minister Senator Dr. Esther Baisukul gave some details about the problem during the final day of the third Diaspora Network consultation at the Lloyd Erskine Sandford Centre. During the interactive session with members of the audience, the Labour Minister revealed that low-skilled workers employed in the services sector at hotels and restaurants have been impacted for two main reasons.
One is the unemployment that they've been seeing in Canada, and so they have actually put a limit on the number of LMOs, the labour market opinions that you would get, which would provide permission for workers to come up. And the administration in Canada has decided that they're putting a limit on a lot of those. The other challenge is that there have been a lot of there's been a lot of bad press on the program and how some of the workers have been treated by employers in Canada. And because of that, exploitation, you've heard stories of exploitation and so on. Because of that, they've also decided to put the brakes significantly on that program.
There's also a focus on finding employment in Canada for highly skilled Barbadians. The Labour Minister says the program is in the works.
There are different arrangements for the higher skilled workers, different immigration arrangements. We do have some workers who go up and they're allowed to get started, stay in Canada for a few years and so on. So we are working to develop that program. One of the challenges is to ensure that the training requirements that they have, we can meet. So we are working with the training agencies, Red Seal program and some other programs in Canada to ensure that our training and our certification meets the standards that they're looking for in Canada.
Approximately 62 billion Canadian dollars was invested through Barbados into the U.S., Latin America, Europe, and Canadian corporations last year. And Minister responsible for the international business and financial services sector, Dr. Innes, says this shows Barbados continues to be one of the preferred locations for companies in Canada for global business.
Last year, Canadian corporations invested some 62 billion Canadian dollars through Barbados. Barbados continues for the last 5 years to be the third largest recipient of foreign direct investment from Canada. Of course, if that money had all remained here, we would perhaps have flown you in on private jets and stayed with you on Saturday. But it's suffice to say, what's been happening is that Barbados continues to be the domicile of choice for international corporations looking to do transactions across borders.
Minister Innes is appealing to Barbadians in the diaspora to become ambassadors for international business like they've done for tourism.
The companies you work for, the companies you own, that look to do business outside of their own specific geographical areas, are companies that must look at the to grow out internationally. So whatever business your company is in, whether service or goods, and they wish to go outside of their particular marketplace, I would encourage you as fellow Barbadians to encourage the owners, or yourself if you're the owner, to look at setting up a structure here in Barbados to make that happen.
There are suggestions for a national public transportation system and total privatization. Those proposals came during a panel discussion on the transport service last night. Lisa Broom has more.
International statistics show that Barbados is 40th out of 200 countries in the number of cars on the road. That equates to about 113,000 cars, along with healthy doses of congestion, low productivity, cases of road rage, increased pollution, and other environmental problems, and the list continues. But many of these issues, the Deputy Governor of the Central Bank, Harold Codrington, believes can be solved with a reliable public transportation system. And to get to that point of reliability, he suggests amalgamation of the Transport Board and the private operations into a national public transportation system.
People travel if you have enough seats. It means you must have enough available units. They need comfort, they need safety. That means you must have maintenance. Look at your purchasing policy. Are you buying the right buses? You must have security. You're not going to travel by a bus if you're going to be robbed when you get in the middle of the country. Reliability, you must have enough buses, you must have scheduling, you must have proper maintenance, you must have reasonable fares.
Mr. Washington says a greater effort also has to be made to discourage people from driving into the city by increasing parking fees and perhaps setting quotas. Flip the coin and you have UE economics lecturer Dr. Stephen Harewood, who thinks that full privatization through franchising is the answer.
Competition will come at the point of bidding. The franchise, you have operators will make bids to operate services, and that's where the competition will come. After you're given the right to operate a service, you have exclusive right to provide that service, and no one can provide any competition for you on it. It would be illegal.
He says under that system, a transport authority could be set up to focus on standards regulation, setting fares, and approving services.
You need buses to operate between 8 and midnight, but the demand is low. So those services will have to be subsidized so as to ensure that the operators can get a reasonable return, a fair return on their investment. And that is where the subsidy will have to come. But subsidies will be based only on cost-benefit analysis.
Lisa Broom, CBC News.
And we want to hear your take on the question, do you think Barbadians would embrace carpooling to reduce pollution and congestion on our roads? Text yes or no to short code 8111, the answer at the end of the news. Former Chief Justice Sir Dennis Williams is dead. A family member told CBC he passed away quietly in his sleep this morning. He was 84 years old. Sir Dennis was one of the youngest judges in the Commonwealth at the age of 37, eventually becoming Chief Justice and one of the longest serving judges in the Commonwealth. He also served as an acting Governor General from December 1995 until June 1996. He retired from the judiciary in 2001. Chief Justice Sir Marson Gibson, in reacting to the news, says he first met Sir Dennis in the early 1980s.
We were both working on a volume of the Barbados Law Reports, and I recall two things about him: his immense patience, his a great capacity for knowledge of the law and an understanding of the law, and his graciousness. We are so much the poorer for his passing, and I also want to express my gratitude to him for lending me his immense shoulders to stand on, because the entire court family stands on his shoulders, and I express my condolences to his dear widow and family, and I ask God's graces on him and on his soul, and may he rest in peace.
Dear Clark, I've made a fascinating discovery: the institutional water cooler. Its gravitational pull sucks people from their workstations at the busiest times of day to stand around it and chat about emerging global trends like, will pink be in fashion next season? Meanwhile, the world slows to a stop as it waits in line to be served. I don't see that trend at Globe Finance.
Globe Finance. Think outside the bank.
When it comes to their financial service, slow is out, swift is in.
The two Jamaican nationals arrested at the airport for trying to smuggle drugs into the island have both been fined. 23-year-old Tyrone Jerome Taylor was ordered to pay $6,000 forthwith for importation on half a pound of cannabis. Otherwise, he will spend the next 12 months in prison. He arrived in the island from Jamaica last Saturday and was interviewed by police after clearing immigration. He was then referred to a medical facility where he passed out 47 packets of cannabis. Meanwhile, Lance Sindarban Barnes, a 40-year-old electrical engineer who was facing similar charges, has been fined $18,000 forthwith for importation or 18 months in prison. Barnes also arrived by air from Jamaica on July 21st and was also interviewed by police after clearing immigration. He too was referred to a medical facility where he passed out 74 packets containing cannabis which he'd ingested. Both Taylor and Barnes were convicted, reprimanded and discharged on the possession, intent to supply and trafficking charges. They appeared at the Oistins Magistrates Court before Chief Magistrate Pamela Beckles. In a matter of weeks, Barbadians will see the 2014 Stag Jam Tune winners Porgy and Murder on the big screen. This comes as the duo stars in the movie Porgy and Murder, Unusual Suspects. The film will premiere in local theaters on September 6. However, they are assuring fans that the movie will not mean that production of the shorter episodes will stop.
It's been a little hectic being that the crop over season just came in and the guys still touring, and being able to do all of this. I mean, we're only human, you know what I mean? We ain't robots or anything. So, I mean, the fans out there that support the episodes and things, they're not finished, you know what I mean? We can still do them, but just bear with us, and you know that we are human. So we can look to get back on track.
Regional news is just ahead, but first a reminder that we want to hear from you on the question, do you think Barbadians would embrace carpooling to reduce pollution and congestion on our roads? Text yes or no to short code 8111. The answer will come at the end of the news.